logistics and key account management. He has cross-functional experience in various countries and has worked at managing the budget of the network and the health of an operational network. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Alok Sud with a huge round of applause to share his knowledge and experience among us.
Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me apologize for the slight delay. I hope you didn't have to wait too long. It will be a great pleasure to be with you, and that too when you are in the middle of your placements. So, those of you who have appeared for your placement interviews and have cracked it, congratulations. The rest of you, best of luck, and I hope you get good placements. So, I would be talking to you about petroleum, energy for the growing world. Yeah? In this talk, I will be covering broadly consumption trends, production trends, a little bit about oil trade and how prices are determined, obviously the global and the Indian picture. Also, what is the future of energy consumption or outlook for future of energy consumption till 2025, which is the published document of the government. The role played by RIL specifically and other private players in achievement of those long-term visions. Now, I have a few questions for you, and I will continue to ask these questions, and there are gifts for those of you who reach close. I'm not obviously looking at the specific answers. Broadly, it is to enhance the learning of this group. So at this stage, in the next couple of hours, I will be asking you some questions, and there are gifts for some of you. Now, does anybody have an idea what is the global oil consumption?
88 million barrels. 88 million barrels.
One per hour, please.
88 million barrels per day.
Hold on. Raise your hand, please.
88 million barrels per day.
88 million barrels per day. Anybody has a different answer?
87 million barrels.
You know, when we are talking about 87 million or 88 million in percentage terms as well, it wouldn't make really too much of a difference. And it could vary from year to year depending on the economic situation. But yes, you are very close. So since there's a tie, there's no prize. The consumption globally has risen in the last 2 years from 86 to nearly 88 million, and this year is expected to be close to 89.4, give or take a few 100,000. The major thing to look at in this is that it is not driven by OECD. OECD actually is down. When you look at global consumption going up by nearly 2.4% and non-OECD going up by 5.7%, it tells you clearly that OECD is down. And that is not too far or too big a thing to see. I think anybody who reads the newspapers knows that the America and the Europe and the Western countries are in real big trouble. But one thing that you need to also remember parallelly is that not too much of refining capacity has been added in the last 2-3 years. Can anybody hazard a guess what it is likely to do to product demand? When your demand consumption is going up, if the refining capacity is not keeping pace with that, what is likely to happen?
It will drive the price.
Drive the price of?
And price of refined petroleum.
Refined products. That is why you have a position where the crude price may not actually rise, but the refined product prices may go up. Right?
Yes.
Exactly. So, and second thing that is likely to do is what? That as you have more demand for refined products, and there is not too much of refinery capacity being added, but the consumption is going up, what is likely to happen? The prices of course will rise, but what else is likely to happen? The refineries are expected to utilize their capacity better and better. Isn't it? You see, you have only one refinery, let's say, it was producing at 85%. Today the demand shoots up, there is no new refinery coming up, so he'll start producing at 87, 88% or 90% to meet part of that demand or full demand. That's logical, no? If you were running a business, you would do the same, wouldn't you? So globally also the same thing is happening. Just to give you an overview of how demand has been growing between 1980, when it was at about 57 million barrels per day, it has now gone up to nearly 90 million barrels per day. And you know, in 1980s we used to hear about oil is scarce, it's not going to last forever. And how much of it are we pumping out every year? So many billions and billions and billions of barrels, and it seems to be never ending. And even today, the proven reserves in some countries are enough to see the world for at least another 100 years or thereabouts. And besides those reserves, there are so many more reserves which are yet to be exploited, discovered. Seismic studies have been done, but they are still, that means nature has been very, very benevolent to mankind. At least in your lifetimes and probably the lifetimes of your grandchildren, oil will be around. The prices is a different matter, but oil will be around. So you don't need to have any apprehension on that front. Remember this, India, growing economy, is the 4th largest consumer of oil. Currently, give or take, because please remember, while these figures have been created for your consumption with a lot of research, and everywhere you will find, the year for which this number is relevant would be mentioned. Please remember, these are indicative. They're not basically, you're not here to write an exam on this. The purpose is to give you an overview of the industry so that you have a better understanding of what is going on in the energy world. 3.1 million barrels per day. That is the kind of consumption we have. This is how the year-on-year growth has looked. When you look at these peaks, you will notice that there were events happening there. Right? Look at this peak. When it recorded the maximum growth from the previous year, 91. It was driven mainly by India. This growth in 91 was driven mainly by India. Okay, the second peak that you see is in 2003-04, right? That is again another peak. What was the reason for that? It was the boom years, both India and China. High growth, 7%, 8%. That was for the first time after a long time that Indian economy grew by 7-8%. But we are nowhere in comparison in our energy consumption to some of the guzzlers. Who is the biggest guzzler of energy in the world? US. Biggest guzzler is US, but biggest per capita guzzler? Who said that?
Japan.
Right. Now, what's your name? Kumar. Okay, there's a prize for you. But you have to also indicate to me and to the group what is the per capita consumption in Saudi Arabia. From India, which is less than a barrel per capita per year, compare Saudi Arabia, which is at nearly 35 barrels per year. How many times does that make it? Nearly 37, 38 times or 40 times? Okay. US in comparison is much lower, 25. Right? China, is there China somewhere? Yes, above India. 2.1. This just goes to show that even today, we are not a major consumer. Maybe the number that you saw in the previous slide, the absolute consumption is only appearing because you are a billion plus economy. But in energy intensity, we are nowhere. And if you were to, and this is the 15th rank in a world of 190 odd members of the United Nations, or maybe nearly 200. If the 15th rank is at 0.9, think of where the rest of the world is, the bottommost consumers are. Some of the countries have per capita consumption of less than 0.05 barrels per capita. They are obviously smaller countries with very small consumptions. But amongst the larger countries, India and China are at the bottom of the pile. In terms of crude production, we are at number 22 with about 877,000 barrels production per day. Now this, I mean, some of your engineers must be good at mental maths. At 20,000 barrels per day equivalent to 1 MT, million ton, how much would 877 be equal to?
Around 67. 16.
How much? 43 point something? 43.8. Okay. So we produce the equivalent of about 43, 44 billion tons. And this, when we talk about production, this is the production of crude in the geographical jurisdiction of India. It does not include our share in foreign assets. We have Reliance and ONGC, they have assets, some places 90%, some places 10%, some places 20%, 15%, Cambodia, Venezuela, Vietnam, Syria, now Yemen and other places as well. From those assets, our share per day is about 400,000 barrels, or annually about 20 million tons, which is almost 50% of what we produce within the geography of India. And as time goes, we are looking, when I say, I'm not looking only at RIL, I am here to represent the oil industry. Specifically Reliance, we'll talk about later, but at this moment I'm talking about the oil sector. The oil sector, the oil companies are looking at buying more and more foreign assets, right? And it's an ongoing effort, obviously constrained only by one thing, the money, right? But just like you have the automotive companies going and acquiring plants outside, you have the sugar companies going and buying plants outside, you also have the oil companies going and buying oil fields outside and setting up refineries and businesses outside, right? Just to give you a broad idea of the reserves that we have. The annual consumption in India is in the region of about 180 to 90. It has been varying in the last decade, about 185 to 190 MMT. The estimated crude reserves in the geography of India is about 1,200, which means that at least for the next how many years? 20 years, give or take, because there will be growth also. For about 20 years you are safe. from the reserves that are already known and established. Okay, and being not developed, which are already developed and producing. There will be some other reserves which will be discovered in the next 20 years, which will see you for another maybe 10, 15, 20 years, because a lot of work is going on. And then also, a lot of work is also happening in the gas, area of gas. Our estimated reserves known to us as of this moment is about 1,400 BCM, billion cubic meters, against consumption of only 46. That's because gas was so far not available. It's only in the last 2-3 years that we have found big quantum of gas and it's been made available. Right? But my own feeling is that natural gas consumption in the next 5 to 7 years is going to not double or treble. It's probably going to see an exponential growth. It may even cross 400 to 500 BCM. Even at those levels, you would still have enough gas for the next maybe 20 years. Right? And there's a lot of work happening in this area as well. Obviously, when oil is not an asset or a natural resource which is widely distributed geographically across the world, consumption is, so what is likely to happen? Flow, right? Some will consume, some will produce. Some will produce and ship it to some refiner. That refiner will consume something himself and distribute the rest. Because refineries are required to convert crude to consumable grade. Saudi Arabia cannot refine all the crude it has. So it has to sell crude to refining companies which may be located outside. So first oil flow is the crude moving out to refineries. Then the refined products moving all over the world, wherever need. So you have Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran, and all these countries were the major exporters. And all these numbers that you see are in 1,000 barrels per day. So you have 7.3 million barrels per day, or the equivalent of 3 Indias per day being sold out of Saudi Arabia. It's almost more than 3 times India's consumption, nearly 3 times. And then you have Qatar, which is almost 30% of India's per capita per day consumption. That's what they're exporting. They're big. You can well imagine the scale of these. Qatar, country of a few million people. They obviously would be very, very rich because they have abundance of a resource which is required by the whole world. Similarly, Venezuela. Look at this. Almost half of, a little more than half of India's consumption they export. Venezuela is a country of how many million people? It's a small population, less than 40-50 million people. So they must be very, very rich. Or even if the people are not rich, the country is rich, and because of that, the expenditure on welfare measures and other things will be very, very high. Look at a Kuwait or a Norway. They all, because of oil, they have become very, very prosperous. On the other side, look at India, which obviously, because we did not have enough crude within our geography, so we went out and acquired assets, and now we have self-sufficiency to the tune of about, if you look at 3.3 million barrels per day, vis-a-vis 877 that we produce locally and another 400. So that means we are still only about 30% self-reliant. 66-67% we are still dependent on. But within that, there is something that is happening. That is, you will understand the implications of this in my subsequent discussion. What is happening, particularly with regard to environmental consciousness, is the focus on sulfur. Right? Sulfur, which even today in countries like Russia, up to 2000 ppm is legal on certain usages. On some usages it may be as low as 150. Look at India in comparison. Ranges between 50 to 500 for various displays. Look at Brazil, 50 to 500. Look at gasoline, everywhere it is coming down in the next 5 years. But US and EU have already reached those levels which the present technology can produce. Present technology cannot produce lower than these, otherwise they would love to have zero. Even this 10 ppm is technically called zero sulfur, right? Sulfur free or zero sulfur, because it's impossible to remove this 10 ppm. No process in the world known to man today can reduce this to zero, right? So this is technically zero. Now what this implies is that in the coming days, more and more refineries will need to either improve, upgrade or stop. What does that mean for the sector per se? Anybody? What does it mean? As the specifications of the fuels that you're going to use keep changing, technology has to change, and older refineries either need to upgrade or go out of business, right? Because of environmental concerns. For those of you who have read, and I will come to that subsequently, there are large number of refineries which are on the brink of closure in the Western world, primarily because of these concerns, that they are not able to produce the required grades of fuels. Right? The next question that we would like to discuss is what affects oil prices? What are the various things that have an impact on oil prices? Anybody would like to say what role installed capacity has? Anybody? Does installed capacity have a role to play in the prices of products? What is, please wait for a chance, gentlemen.
So, I would say most of the refineries are not working at the right load factor. I mean, plant load factor is less. So the installed capacity is quite some, but we are not using it to the extent. So it is causing rise in the oil prices.
Why should the prices rise because of installed capacity not being adequate?
Because with the days, I mean, the need for oil is increasing, but the capacity is same. So we need more of fuel.
So it creates a demand pull.
Yes, sir.
So demand pull means those who can afford to pay more will tend to take away that scarce resource, and poorer countries will be left without that resource, right? Weather. What role does weather have to play? Anybody? Volunteers?
Trade, it can affect.
What about you? Would you like to hazard a guess? What role weather plays?
Actually, in US and
Dr. Q, please. Yeah.
So the way I see, weather does play a price because, let's say during transportation, bad weather might affect the transportation of oil from the rig to the refineries.
Okay.
That might again affect the prices.
Not only from the rigs to the refineries, either via crude tankers or via pipelines, weather will play a role. I mean, if it is, let's say, if it is too cold, the oil will stop flowing. All the flow rates will change, right? Because the installed capacity of your pipeline, maybe, even if it is heated, let's say it is going to heat you to a particular level. But if it is starting from -20 and taking it up to 12 degrees, and starting from -10 and taking to 12, you can understand the flow rate, because the energy consumption will be that much more. So all sorts of questions, the flow will alter. So that can have a role. Second, even the refinery per se may have to be shut down because of snowstorms, blizzards, either because of too much heat, very hot climate, people can't work. That can, or very cold climate, people can't work, people can't read. Third thing, the tankers are loaded and flowing, the sea is frozen. Cyclones in the Gulf of Mexico means your refining gets hit, transportation gets hit, it has an immediate impact on the product prices, right? So weather is one of the crucial elements, not only for petroleum, for any natural resource. even if you are talking about sugar, cement, or any natural resource, wherever some mineral or something is required to be used as one of the raw materials, weather will definitely play a major role. Rainfall. Too much of rainfall will have a bearing. Right? Oh, sorry. Next. Libya, Gaddafi is thrown out. Does it have an impact on international oil prices?
Yes.
Egypt has turmoil. Tunisia has turmoil. Algeria, Morocco have turmoil. Does it have a bearing on prices? Yes. Saudi Arabia, tomorrow if the king is assassinated, do you think it will have an impact? Yes. Venezuela, if the Chavez is thrown out, will it have an impact? Yes. Why? Because you need stability. Industrial activity needs political stability, social stability. It cannot work in a situation of turmoil because people will be more concerned about their personal safety than oil production. Are you with me? If let's say there is a fire in this room, would you be bothered about your social etiquette of listening to this fellow who has come all the way? No, you will run out. Let this fellow keep on talking. He can come tomorrow. Isn't it? It's the same there. It's the same there. Political stability is vital for any industrial activity. Next, does planned shutdown of refineries have an impact?
Yes.
It reduces the available capacity, right? And particularly if that refinery is a sophisticated refinery and which is one of the few refineries making a particular kind of product which is required, or where the growth is high, but they have to have a shutdown for preventive maintenance and stuff. So it will have an impact on that particular refined product. Futures and options in oil trade. You think this has an impact?
Yes, not yet proved.
Not yet?
Proved.
Not yet proved.
But speculators do push up the price.
Who said that? Not yet proved. Please
Yes, sir.
establish your point.
So, ongoing research at leading business research institutes have not been able to prove that the speculators are actually pushing up prices.
Can I have your name, sir?
Sir?
Can I have your name?
So, my name is Anand.
Your name is?
Anand.
Anand. Thank you, Anand. Sit down. Thank you. Anand, while what you are saying may be, legally true, that it means that evidence to prosecute somebody may not be available. The fact still remains that when crude prices hit $150, $57 a barrel, that time, if you see the shipping charts, you'll be amazed. Iran government was complaining that they have 600 super tankers loaded with no customers to take that product. Are you aware of that? If something is in demand, that is pushing up the price. If it is only physical supply and demand which is pushing price, then that ship should not be standing idle. And those super tankers in the Gulf of Iran were there for over 92 days. It started with 60 odd super tankers loaded and people were paying damage. Financial institutions and speculators were paying damage. And nobody to take delivery because there was no demand at that price. So if the demand is not there, what is pushing the price to 157? Only speculators. So while what you are saying is true, yes, legally we cannot prosecute somebody, right? Similar to what happens in the share market, there may be very few trades happening at a particular price, but prices shoot up. Get my point? Speculative activity has a role. Now, whether to say it is only speculative activity or a combination of speculative activity plus this is difficult. But the energy industry knows very well that futures and options in oil, the speculation in oil definitely has a role to play. I am not going beyond that. How much of a role it is, whether it is 100% or whether it is only 50-50, I would not like to examine this. But there is a role to play.
Yeah, so in the present scenario, most of the oil is traded in futures only and very less in spot market. So,
hold on. What you are saying is future trades on flats. That's a different thing. I am talking about speculative positions. That's a different thing. Those guys are not oil traders who are taking possessions in oil. Please understand. Financial institutions who have no consumption of oil, what should they be doing buying millions of tons of oil? Why should a city bank be buying oil? They are not going to consume even one drop. You get my point? If I'm only a consumer of, let's say, half a kg of sugar a month, if at all I was to take a possession, it would be understandable if I took a 1 kg pack or 2 kg pack and put it in my house. But if I was to buy a million tons, and that too when I don't have to take any exposure, I don't have to make any upfront payment, but I'm just driving the price of sugar to certain dizzying heights to make a profit. Are you with me?
Yeah. Sir, it's true that this oil, the speculators do push up the price, and this trading of derivatives in oil thing actually create an artificial market for this. But don't you think it also plays a part in hedging the various risks which lies in the entire?
There are other avenues for hedging risk. You know, risk hedging of, let's say, a refiner versus a crude producer or a crude consumer, large consumer, is not hedged by a Citibank or a Bank of America or a Merrill Lynch. They are purely in it for profit. And when, if you recall, when did price touch $157? This was immediately after the global housing bubble burst, and they had to book billions of dollars of losses. So they got in from one commodity, they got into another commodity, and once that bubble burst, they got into gold. Gold shot up from $800 to $1,900 an ounce. So they will keep hopping from commodity to commodity. Sugar went up from 28 rupees a kilo to almost 65 rupees a kilo. It is not because of demand and supply mismatch. If demand and supply are the real forces at work, sugar should never have been sold at 65 rupees, because even when it was selling at 65, there was virtually no demand-supply mismatch. There could be logistics mismatches, but there was overall macro level there was no mismatch. Same is true of oil. So why should price have gone from $45 in 1 year to $150 in the next year, come back in less than a year to $65 or $80? Why? If there was no mismatch in production, there was no regime change in OPEC. Get my point? There was pure speculation. And I am not going to hazard a guess on what is the contributory factor, how much of it was contributed by this or that. It is a combination of all these factors.
Sir,
of course, demand and supply definitely have a role. I mean, it goes without saying. That's why it's the most important. But any or all or different combinations of these factors also impact prices. Are you familiar with Platts? So no need to elaborate further. For almost 100 years now, they have been the best benchmark rates, and so far free from any controversy, open, transparent, and very, very well researched. So far there has been no problem. The oil sector has never had any problem. I am not going to get into the nitty-gritty of how the rates are established, etc. Suffice to say that there is a platform where all the consumers place their bids and all the sellers place their offers, and depending on when you want to buy, you can put a bid, and if the seller is willing, you have to agree, right? And this is the platform used for hedging. Somebody talked about hedging. You use Platts for hedging, either Rotterdam or Singapore. You could also do arbitrage. You could buy in Singapore, sell in Dubai, buy in Rotterdam, sell in New York, and stuff like that. So arbitrage opportunity is also there. Financial institutions are not happy with that 5 cents or 2 cents or 3 cents or 7 cents arbitrage. They want billions of dollars at your cost. They want you to pay 80 rupees, 90 rupees, 100 rupees and 200 rupees per liter of diesel. They want you to pay. They're not happy with the 5-cent profit that they will get from arbitrage. Are you with me?
Yes.
See what has happened in India. Whatever be your inflation, there is no justification for petrol to be selling at 70 odd rupees. Right? All these are basically greed of the speculators, the result of greed. whether it is sugar prices, whether it is petrol prices, whether it is crude prices, or whether it is gold prices. They are all products of greed. And that is something which successive governments in a variety of countries have failed to check. Maybe because of a variety of reasons. Let's not get into that. Yeah.
So, actually 9X had brought in 1991 crude spread and regarding this and crude spread derivatives over there, and they are also extensively used over there. And my personal question, what is your idea on that? That GAIL has gone up over there, and they have also found one exchange in GAIL through this subsidiary. Probably they will be dealing in energy derivatives over there also to hedge their risk. So is it good or is it bad? That's why I'm just asking you.
See, those are financial products, please understand.
Now, using these financial products to hedge the market risks in the demand supply situation, I'm only.
You see, it's the equivalent of a ETF, right? Now, when you say
financial institute, but still as a downstream supplier, also they are also using this energy derivative or
exactly
derivatives to hedge their risks.
Why is that happening? You need to ask yourself this question: why should an energy producer get into those kind of products? There's nothing but the desire to maximize gain, nothing else. You see, if I am a producer of energy, then my job should end by pulling that product, refining it and making it available in the market at a price which is fair to both me and you. What happens in case of cement? What happens in case of sugar? Does cement move within the country on speculative prices? No, it's a regulated price, right? The government says for this season, okay, this is what you are allowed to charge, this is the raw material cost, this is a regulated price, and so there is no speculation. Otherwise, cement price could also become 500 rupees a bag. If you are happy with that, fine. Let's go ahead with that logic and take everything to dizzying height. Because every producer and every trader is hungry, he wants more and more profit. Given half a chance, you would like to take your entire money for a bag of cement. Or the oil company would want to take your entire salary of the year for 1 liter of diesel. Are you willing to do that? No. Right? So, my feeling is that energy producers should not get into speculative products, which is a decision which consciously Reliance has taken not to enter. We have not entered that one. Right? Well, then, in the energy business, the availability of ships, tankers, is vital. So for your consumption, I'm just giving you broadly what are the various kinds of oil tankers that are in use. Now, as the name suggests, Seaway Max. Seaway Max means it is the New Orleans Canal. What is the maximum ship that can enter that canal? And when you say a canal is, say, 50 meters wide, that means the maximum width of a ship, what is called the beam, should not exceed that, right? Or should be well within that approved limit. Length, why? Let's say Panama, there is a length restriction of 228 because there are curves and there are locks. So that lock, the length is maximum that lock can accommodate is 250 meters. So they said a ship cannot exceed 228. So all Panamax tankers cannot have a length greater than 228 meters. Okay, or a beam greater than 32. That is the capacity of the Panama Canal. Similarly, when you come to Suez, there is no bar on length because Suez is a straight canal. You can have a Suez Max of any length, but the beam has to be because the width is restricted. Malacca Max, which is what is called the VLCCs, the Straits of Malacca, 470 meters. Now look at how 226 becomes 470, and in ULCCs there is no restriction. Okay. Here, from 24 it has gone up to 60 meters. The Strait of Malacca is wider. It's not a man-made, please understand. Suez Canal or Seaway Max or Panama or Aframax are man-made. Whereas Malacca Max is in the Straits of Malacca, which is a natural channel. So it has a greater width possibility. Coming to a ULCC, there is a modern concept which can handle greater than 500,000 barrels, 550,000 barrels. They have no restriction on draft, right? They have no restriction on beam or length. They can be of any length, ULCC. Why? Because they do not come into any port. They always remain in high seas. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
You will never see an ultra large crude carrier in any port because they cannot enter a port. They are not navigable. They are huge. So they are moored in the high seas. And if they are carrying crude, that crude from there is pumped by under the sea pipelines. They have something called the SPMs. Okay, single point mooring in the high seas. So they go to the moors or buoys, and from there they are connected, the hoses are connected, and they start pumping. That is why there is no restriction on length, because they are in high seas, no restriction on draft, and no restriction on beam. Right? I want somebody to raise his hands. I'm going to ask the next question, which has a gift. What is the number of super tankers, not super tankers, total number of tankers greater than 10,000 tons in the world? Any idea? Number of tankers greater than 10,000 tons. I am specifically talking about oil tankers. I am not talking about ships. So tankers of 10,000 tons or greater capacity, that means Seaway Max and above. What is the total number? And anybody, even if you are plus minus 25%, I'll give it to you. Any guesses?
4,000. 4,000.
Prize is yours, sir. Yeah, please. What's your name?
Srinivas.
Srinivas. Congratulations. He's bang on. Bang on. The total number of registered tankers in the world as on April 1 this year is 4025. Now, please bear with me, and this is something which you need to appreciate what role the number and availability of tankers has in the oil market. There are only 4,000 tankers in the world, and out of them, only 2,580 odd are double hulled, meaning only they are capable of going on high seas. When you have only 2,582 tankers capable of going on high seas, it means that availability of tankers is going to be a crucial factor in the price determination. Are you with me? Because let's say a VLCC or a ULCC sailing from Houston coming to, let's say, port in France, maybe Nice or Marseille, would take an average of about 11 days. 11 days is only the transportation time. Add 3 days for unloading, at least 3 days for loading. That too in a western port. If it was India, it takes 7 days for loading, 7 days for unloading. So 3 plus 3, 6 and 11, 17 days, and only 550,000 barrels have moved. Right? So in a year, how many voyages can that ship undertake? Not more than 20, 25, right? But 20, 25 or maybe 30 voyages, 50 voyages of shorter duration inclusion. If you were to take a voyage a week, let's say, it is still not enough shipping capacity. So, and you don't have intercontinental pipelines except in Siberia. Are you with me? So, availability of oil tankers is going to be a major determinant of oil prices. Just to summarize the India story, 77,000 barrels is our Crude production, consumption is about 3.1 million barrels. Major products consumed are here: diesel 974, 417 is your LPG equivalent. Second highest product category, LPG. MS is 233,000 barrels equivalent. Kerosene is 201. ATF 100 and rising. We talk about those trends in detail. But of late, a surprising trend has emerged. And that trend is that while we are a net importer of oil, but of finished and processed goods, we are a major exporter. Right? Look at that number there. This is data for 10-11. That P stands for provisional because the government has yet to publish final data, but broadly indicated. There are some product imports as well. We import about 17 MMT of finished goods and about 163 MMT of crude. That means a total import of 180, but offset by almost 60 MMT of finished goods. So net import is less than 120 or 22. And this number, total export of 59 MMT, is going to rise. Okay, what are the reasons for that? What are the contributors? Please remember that the average price of this 163 vis-a-vis that 59. Are you with me? The finished goods are refined goods, they are much more expensive. And this is crude oil, relatively cheaper. So the comparative valuations in dollar terms would not be significantly different. Just bear that in mind. Obviously they will vary from year to year, month to month, but they could not be significantly different. But before we go to all that, just to refresh your minds on what is the refining process. What are we trying to achieve in refining? Okay, broadly speaking, you have crude, which is huge chains of hydrocarbons. God knows how many atoms of carbon. Nobody knows. I mean, there's no set formula. It's not a chemical compound. It's a complex molecular chain. We don't know how many atoms of carbon are there. And it could vary from batch to batch. What you are trying to achieve is to break that into various components in the refining process and have, don't get into the technical terms of cracking and this. Broadly what you are trying to do, you have a long chain, you are cutting it into pieces. From maybe a million carbon atoms, you are trying to make it into 4 atoms and 5 atoms and 6 atoms and 7 atoms and 10 atoms. This number that you see here is the number of carbon atoms. Right? Obviously, the lesser the number of carbon atoms, the more volatile the product and that much more expensive. So the products which are at the top would tend to be proportionately higher in value. The products at the bottom would tend to be relatively lower in value. Are you with me? Yes. Broadly, demand and supply may make residual coke more expensive than ATF in one particular period in time. Don't worry about that. Broadly, logically, the products at the bottom of the pile would tend to be cheaper. The products at the top of the heap will tend to be. Why? Because they require more processing. Right? They come from the same source, but they require different processing. Now, the next question, and anybody who gives me an answer gets a prize. And this time I am not going to ask for volunteers, I am going to ask the question specifically to individuals. So please hold your thoughts, right? When you refine crude, what you get out of that, let's say you refine 1 ton of crude, the output that you get, is it a standard output?
It depends on the configuration. You can.
My question is it a standard output?
No.
It's not. Can it vary?